let's get right into it. State of the Union speech. All right. So, first of all, record-breaking. It is the longest State of the Union speech ever given. I think he beat, is it Bill Clinton's that he broke the record of?
He beat everybody.
He beat everybody's, but I think Bill Clinton was the second longest one. Now it's him being there. So he has the longest State of the Union speech, which is pretty interesting. He got up there and had a lot of things to say about it. Rob, I'm trying to get to kind of a clip to show, but I can't see anything here on the clip. So I'll just start off. Rob, what was your biggest takeaway watching him give the State of the Union? What difference did you notice with him than from the past? How his energy was, the things he talked about? What was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway, Trump was a changed man, all right? And I had brought this up to a lot of people that I was talking to and texting with back and forth during the State of the Union, is that this is somebody who was very statesmanlike, all right? And so we've seen States of the Union in the past with Trump. You know, sometimes things are a little bit more combative. Sometimes things are a little bit more rougher, like, you know, rougher on the edges, because Trump can be sometimes. But this is very much statesmanlike. And this is somebody that does not care what Democrats think, that does not care what anybody thinks about him nowadays. And that's what I think the power of Trump 2.0 is. So I saw a lot of that, even when there were the disruptions from the Democrats, which we will get into. I'm sure that we all have a lot to say about that. I think that I have some ideas about that may be a little different from other people on the panel, but he looked at them like you would literally look at a misbehaving grandchild, because the theme of Trump 2.0 right now is that the adults are back in charge, the adults are back in the room, daddy's home, and I am going to tell you every single thing that we are accomplishing for the United States of America right now. So that's what it said to me. They are no longer trying to play games with Democrats. He is no longer sort of, trying to placate, to what CNN or the New York Times, et cetera, wants, because I think that one of the issues with Trump 1.0 is that he was almost a little too magnanimous in trying to work and operate with the left, and they took advantage of that. Now you have somebody that does not care. We are doing things that Republicans want done. I think, and I tweeted this yesterday, you can follow me on X at Rob Smith Online, that the changes that Trump 2.0 and the team are making right now are generational changes for this country and for the Republican Party. So I made that statement. I stand by it. That's what's different to me.
Very cool. All right. So, Rob, let's see this clip. If you have a clip that you can show us, which one is this? This is...
hold on one second. This is... where President Trump talks about some of the money that is going towards sedentary migrants in countries nobody's ever heard of. I also have where he honors a 13-year-old cancer survivor.
DJ Daniel.
We also have where he talks about not being able to make the Democrats happy.
Why don't you start off with Al Green first? Okay. Trying to disrupt. So first they wanted to disrupt.
Which they planned. Pat, they planned on doing this. Didn't work.
Of course they did.
Didn't work at all.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session.
Kick that. It's almost as if you wanted this. They wanted this to happen.
Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So at the beginning, they were trying to create a disruption. The signs didn't land. Do you have a picture of the signs, Rob, where they're holding up the pictures of the signs?
Elon steals.
Yeah, Elon steals.
What is he stealing?
And then there was another one, Rob, that wearing the pink. Can you pull up the pink picture where they're all wearing pink dresses? It's, right there. Wear pink to support women. Yesterday, we voted for men to continue abusing women in sports. Just a very weird opening with Al Green. Rob, maybe show up another clip on what we have. If you can go to whichever one you got. Just play a couple of the highlights, and then we'll get into it.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
That's a mic drop.
Right.
Mic drop right there.
Whack. Bam.
So, Vinny, your thoughts on yesterday?
Well, all around. I think it was, visionary. He talked about values. He talked about our freedom, individual responsibility, and common sense was the main one. But the biggest thing that pissed me off, and I get Pat, I understand, and me and Jake had a conversation. We get it. Sometimes they bring people in. Like, remember when he brought the alleged rape and sexual assault victims of Bill Clinton in the State of the Union? Because he wants to put these people out on blast, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to, like, for instance,
That was during a debate. By the
during a
way,
debate.
not
I'm
the
sorry,
State
yeah,
of the
debate.
Union.
Well, whatever.
It's all good. Yeah.
It's politics. It's props.
This
right?
is when Bill Clinton kind of looked like.
When you cannot stand, Laken Riley's mother and her sister are there, and you cannot stand, and at least, by the way, give them a round of applause, because you know she's dead. She was raped and murdered because of their policies, because of Joe Biden's open border, okay? Corey Coppertone, the guy, the fireman that was shot, you couldn't stand up for that. You couldn't stand up for Mark Fogel, who the only time they stood up was for Ukraine. That's all they stood up for. And the worst of them all, there's that 13-year-old kid, Pat, DJ Daniel, 13 years old. He's had 14 brain surgeries for cancer. The guy makes him an honorary Secret Service member. Dude, I got emotional during watching it. I could get emotional right now. He hugs the Secret Service agent. He's the happiest kid you've ever seen. And you can't stand and at least applaud that. Even if it was a test from Trump to see what they were going to do, you even failed that. Show camaraderie, show some unity that this freaking kid has gone through more shit than that they've ever gone through, and you couldn't stand for 2 seconds and clap for this kid. Unbelievable.
All right,
Tom, your thoughts?
My thoughts is, when I looked around the chamber, I was really disgusted. This is a moment where our president comes together, and you don't have to agree with everything. And going back as long as we've had televised State of the Unions, sometimes the other side will sit with their hands in their lap, even cross their arms, even shake their heads. But they do it on particular points. You know, the Republicans did it to Clinton when Clinton turned around and handed Walter Mondale a mock-up of what would be a national health care card. Remember that scene? He turned around, handed Walter Mondale, and Republicans were like, no. Those things happen. But then we come together and we applaud the things that are applaudable. And when the other side sits there and won't even budge on anything, it is, to me, the definition of Trump derangement syndrome, where you so hate Trump, you are so incensed that you got your ass kicked in the election. You are so, just wrought with anger that you cannot applaud, a child who is suffering from cancers and is being recognized. You can't applaud a mother who lost a daughter. You can't applaud the fact that a girl is sitting there who we all saw hit with a 106-mile-an-hour spike, I believe it was. From a man who a couple days later says, yeah, maybe I'll play with the chicks. And you can't do that. You can't speak up. What it tells me is they're not Democrats. They're globalists. They're not pro-America. They are globalists. They are with the side of the UN, and they are anti-American, and they are socialist. I don't see any modicum of just appreciation for the country and to applaud a few things that are applaudable. You can't do that. So what does that say that you really are deep down inside? They're not in favor of this country. They're in favor of turning it into something else.
Adam, your thoughts?
Well, what's the famous phrase? If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. That's basically the current state of the Democratic Party. They're just for men and women play in men playing women's sports, endless spending, just open borders, Trump derangement syndrome. They don't stand for anything. By the way, little fun fact: Al Green, the guy with the cane who basically had to be escorted out, 1 year younger than Trump, walking with a cane.
Yeah.
Just a little perspective for you. But you know what? I got a little secret for you guys. So I feel like the Democrats are completely lost. And I have proof to show it. Oh. So don't ask me how, but in the mail, I got something from the DNC.
Oh, typical.
Okay. From the Democratic National Committee, basically saying this is the official 2025 Democratic survey, right? And the premise is, help us figure out what the hell to do.
Are you serious?
What
That's
should
they're
we do?
asking?
The Democrats are the last line of defense between Trump's destructive agenda and the survival of our democracy. They're still doing that.
It's the opposite.
Every Democrat, each and every one of us, is a leader in the fight to stop Trump. He's taken office, and Project 2025 will be unleashed to its full extent, and we must stop him and the MAGA extremists, okay? So then, that's sort of the cover letter. Then they ask you a series of questions what should we do? What do you find the most troubling?
Register as a Republican.
Right. So,
Walk away.
yeah, take a look, Pat. So, what do you find the most troubling? The mass deportations, the gutting of abortion access, the rolling back clean energy, the LGBTQ right. Same old hits, same old hits, same old hits. What this basically shows me, and I'll give it to you, Pat, is they're just like, what do we do from here?
Is that really
they're
what it's
completely
saying?
lost? Yeah, go take a look.
So
take a
they're
look.
asking.
They're just basically saying, where should we go from here? Help us figure out
money.
our agenda.
And send us cash.
And yes,
Send us some money, please.
And
I saw
please,
that.
please,
Send us some cash.
send me some money.
Well, here it is.
My
Pat.
money good.
All right, so
The DNC is seeking your immediate feedback. I'm reading verbatim with no
Yeah,
enhancements.
hey Tom,
Your immediate
I already
feedback.
read it.
Is that the same thing that you
Is that
read?
the
I already
one?
read that. Yeah, but go
I
ahead.
don't think
go.
that's what you read. But anyway, I'm just looking
Okay.
at seeking your immediate feedback as we determine the strategies that will be needed to block agenda. We need your help.
No, Tom.
By the way,
literally what I
here,
read.
section 2,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird, says, which of these priorities do you find most troubling?
Mm-hmm.
Trump's priorities do you find most troubling? Enacting mass deportations, slashing taxes for the ultra-wealthy, gutting abortion access, rolling back clean energy solutions and crucial environmental regulations, severely restricting voting access, attacking the fundamental rights of LGBTQ Americans, dismantling key federal agencies like the American Department of Education, defining the U.S. Supreme Court for decades by appointing even most ultra-conservative justices, which, Rob, if you have that Coney Barrett video about how she looks at Trump, we have to show that. I'm not troubled. I am not troubled by policies Trump is advocating. So they put one of the options that I am
like,
not
I'm good with
troubled.
it, yeah.
Go
okay,
ahead, Rob.
So let me. I have a different perspective on this than you guys do, and I'm doing a podcast on this later today. My podcast, Can't Cancel Rob Smith. Go ahead, definitely check that out. All right, so there's multiple strategies going on here. First of all, we say the Democrats can't stand up for this child, can't applaud anything that Trump is doing. Yeah, gross. We all know that, right? Because I used to be a Democrat. I'll never vote for Democrats again as long as I'm breathing on this earth. It's just never going to happen. But you have to understand that there's a two-pronged strategy going on here right now with Democrats. First of all of these people that are pulling these stunts in the State of the Union, and by the way, I was actually able to go in that room. Speaker Johnson had a couple of us on a private tour. Have you ever been in that room? The power in that room is unbelievable, right? So they're obviously very disrespecting of that. But this is all about the social media clout. This is what they're doing. So they have the Jasmine Crockett's of the world. They have the Al Greens of the world. They have all of these people pulling these stunts for social media because this is what their base wants, right? So that's one part of the strategy. The second part of the strategy is that you've got, and we'll get into this later on in the show, you've got kind of these centrist Democrats moving in and getting a lot of attention from the media. You've got Cuomo running for mayor in New York again, right? You've got Stephen A. Smith kind of like doing his thing as a political figure that's Democrat, right? So they're getting everybody ginned up on the internet by pulling these stunts because that is what Democrats like. You have to understand that their base likes this, all right? So this is the first year and a half of this, by the way, because the midterms are next fall. Now we're going to start seeing them become a lot more moderate when it comes closer to 2028. So my argument to all you guys is that as gross as what they are doing is, they are doing the right thing for their base.
They're doing the right thing for their base?
For their base. I absolutely
why.
do. They're doing the right thing for their base
Yeah.
because they've got a low IQ base that has nothing but no,
He's
seriously.
right. No, he's been right. Have you
seriously.
been watching
Seriously.
Jasmine Crockett doing the?
No.
Yeah, he's right.
So
he's
look,
right.
Democrats have a low IQ base that do not know facts, that are all over social media. And for a low IQ base that doesn't know facts, that is all over social media, Jasmine Crockett twerking or whatever works for them. Al Green disrupting and being removed works for them. These stupid signs that they're putting up in the State of the Union, this works for that base. You have to understand who these people are, right?
Yeah, Rob, who at this point would you say is the Democratic base?
Childless women and gays.
Childless women and gays. I don't disagree. Who else?
Okay, so Democrat base, childless women, gays, definitely blacks are still a part of the Democratic base. I would say black women. 92% of black women voted for Democrats and still will.
So black, childless, gay women.
Yes.
So the WNBA.
The WNBA.
They're
all
voting for the
Oh, for sure they're voting.
Shout out to Brittany
So like,
Griner.
I'm telling you, this is the strategy. I think that it works for that base.
But it's just not big enough, that
But the base isn't big enough. Rob,
Yeah,
what are
there
they
you go.
intentionally
I don't know if I
doing to
agree with that.
expand it?
Nothing. which is the problem.
There you go.
I am not disagreeing that they're in trouble. I am not disagreeing that they don't have a leader. They have no message. Their ideological agenda is being roundly rejected by the American public. But I'm telling you, I know these people. These people attack me on social media every single day. I have this TikTok account. They're all over me, right?
Yeah.
So I look at some of these comments, and this is who these people are.
What do they say to you?
I don't know. Okay, let me tell you what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if TikTok and Twitter is not all the Democratic Party. I don't think it is.
For sure.
I think TikTok and Twitter, the loudest people makes us seem like everybody else is in that way. I mean, we learned that during Free Palestine and Israel and Ukraine and Russia. And, you know, we learned just because you're loud doesn't mean everybody feels the way you do. Most people are quiet. Most people don't. Majority of the people are very quiet. It's the silent majority, right? So let's go through the silent majority of Democrats, not the loud minority. Who are the silent majority of Democrats? Okay, the silent majority of Democrats. I think the silent majority of Democrats are, you know, John F. Kennedy, you know, guys that voted during that time. They're probably Joe Manchin. They probably want decent economy. They want to have a job. They want to be able to send their kids to school. They want to be able to, you know, probably not have this transgender stuff happening. I don't think the majority Democrats want that. Now, the majority Democrats, in my opinion, they want pro-choice. They want, you know, certain government programs for people that don't have entitlements. That probably the majority want those types of issues is where they're at. They want the military to not have a big budget because they used to be not war. I think the majority of Democrats are so confused right now.
Yeah.
They're so confused right now because they're sitting there with their spouse. And by the way, I'm saying this because Hollywood guys watch this podcast and they'll message me after 2 years. They'll say, let me tell you, I was sitting there myself watching and asking myself, you know, private conversations. These people don't want to go public. We'll have the private conversation. Why am I a Democrat? And they'll say, I used to say I'm a Democrat because I was not for war. Not Democrats are for the war. Trump's not for war. He wants to cause peace. You know, he said, you know, Zelensky finally sends a letter apologizing and, you know, whether it's apologizing or not, to find a way to create a deal. And Putin is also open to the idea, right? And he sent a very strong truth social message yesterday to Hamas. And what he said, we'll get into that here in a minute as well. Trump doesn't want war. The Democrats want war. Under Biden, we were supposed to have World War III under Trump. Didn't happen. But under Biden, we almost had it.
Yep.
So the Democrats like, okay, I thought we're the not, you know, party of war. 2, I thought we're the party of choice. Why are they forcing me to take the vaccine? 67%, 71% of Americans took it, and a lot of them are now saying, why did I take it, right? I thought we were supposed to be the party of what is going on here. I thought we were the ones that were supposed to help people make money. This guy just said no taxes on tips. He says no taxes on Social Security payments. What? And then he says you get to write off interest on your car payment as long as the cars are made in America. Aren't these things good things for me? I think they are so confused. The majority of Democrats are so confused, but they can't help themselves to vote for Trump. They're willing to entertain voting for Republican. They have been just brainwashed so much to hate this man so much that they don't know how to go about it. By the way, without even thinking about it, do you know what tie he wore yesterday when he gave the State of the Union? What color was his tie? Did you pay attention to it? Don't say anything. Don't pull it up yet, Rob.
Was it
What color was his tie?
red?
Nope.
Was it not the standard?
No,
red?
it was like a
Always
light blue,
was
wasn't
red.
it?
Nope.
Someone's light
You know
blue.
what color was his tie? When's the last time you saw the president wearing a purple tie? Can you pull it up, Rob? When's the last time you saw him wear a purple tie?
I
When?
honestly have never seen that before.
Ken brought it up yesterday from BDC. He says, you know, he wore a purple tie yesterday. I'm like, I didn't even see it. So I looked at it. I'm like, can you zoom in a little bit into the tie? Yeah. Does it allow you to, Rob? Or no?
That's a video, but I can't. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, when you see, why is he wearing a purple tie? He never wears a purple tie. What's he trying to
show
tell?
some unity.
He's trying to say, guys, I want to work with you. Work with me. Stop thinking this way.
Yeah.
That's not a red typical tie. Go to a typical Trump tie. Trump typically wears
Long
Big
red
the
tie.
red Stefano
look at that thing.
Ricci. That's a Stefano Ricci tie. That's the tie he wears. he wears that tie, okay? He typically puts that tie on. Once in a while, he'll do a blue because he likes to wear his blue, but he's a red tie guy. You wear purple, he's trying to tell him, hey, guys, let's work together. Hey, let's do something together. Why don't we work together and be united in front of our enemies? Let's debate some of the issues. Why don't we do this? But no, they came out there trying to do a show, and I think the Democratic Party right now is in such... it's in such a problematic place that people are like, imagine if you're a Republican, and all of a sudden the face of the Republican Party, a new person runs. Let's just kind of say Nikki Haley's now the president. Okay, and she gets up there and says, "No, the Republican Party is about allowing kids to transition." And then you're like, all right, Republican, yes, Republicans, we should raise taxes on everybody. And then you're like, oh, dude, this is like weird. There was yes, we should do pro-choice. Yes, we should spend way less money on the military. Yes, you're just kind of like, all these values that you have, you're going to be sitting there at night confused saying, there's no way I can vote for, say, the other side of somebody else. There's no way I can vote for them. But I'm no longer this guy. What is this all about? That's what happens. Because what all along I've been saying this about Trump since 2015-16. You know what Trump is? He's not a Republican. Trump's an independent. This is what people don't realize. This is not a Republican president. This is an independent president that had to run as a Republican. Exactly. That's who he is. He's tough. He's strong. He's going to push people around. He's going to push his weight around. But he's at most, Vinny, a center-right guy. At most. He's not a right-wing guy. He's a center-right guy, and I think the left is super confused.
I call it a New York City Republican. He was always a New York City Republican, right? Because your New York City Republican and your Mississippi Republican are two different people, right? And I think that you really make a good point, because where we're moving now as a society is kind of away from these red-blue binaries. And I think that the tie is a really good example of that, because look, I made a little video on my ex right before I came here, kind of like promoting the podcast. And the reason that I love Miami, the reason that I love Florida in general, is because you have a lot of people here that are super conservative, super based, but they're not necessarily going to like wave the flag like I'm a Republican. They love Trump, right? But the vast majority of people can't sit here and talk through these issues the way you can, or the way the Hollywood guys that reach out to you can, because they're entrepreneurs. They know business like that, right? The vast majority of people don't. And that's why I do slightly push back on the idea that the Democrats are so lost. They are lost. I think that they're finding their way. And it seems like I'm advocating for them. I am not. What I'm saying is that there's a strategy at hand here. And so if they have somebody like a Cuomo, like even a Manchin, like these figures, somebody that rises, and I think that there's somebody who we probably don't even know who they are right now. These slogans that the Democrats have when they tell these lies that Trump wants to end abortion, or he wants to gut Medicaid, or all of this other stuff, right?
Hitler.
All of this stuff, right? Like, it doesn't work for you and I because we know better. But you wrap that messaging up in a masculine male, like white male package that says I'm a Democrat, because the next person that's going to rise up in the Democrats will absolutely be a traditionally masculine white male. All right. And if that person is able to articulate that messaging, they will make a comeback. It seems like they're in disarray right now, and I want them to be, God knows, because I would love to have 4 years of Trump and 8 years of Vance. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but there's parts of Vance that appeal to me even more than Trump does in a lot of different ways. But I'm telling you, there's a strategy here, and I don't want us to lose sight of that.
Yeah, no, and he's right, because look at Gavin Newsom is now doing a podcast because he knows he's finished.
I said masculine.
Okay, got you. My bad. Well, he's a slithering snake.
So, couple things for those of you that are watching the podcast now. If you go download Connect, the app, and you join PBD Podcast Circles, if you join the circle, what you get a chance to do, it's $50 a month. But everybody throughout the month gets to communicate together. Here's what we're going to be doing. All the notes that we look at, the way we write out the news in our research team, is all in there. So if you go right now and join the circle, you're going to see all these notes in there. On top of that, You guys get to communicate with each other all day long, throughout the day, throughout the month. When stories happen, everybody posts there. We get to ask you what are some issues you want us to talk about on the podcast. And last but not least, after the podcast, we do a behind the scenes, what our takeaway was. We'll do it sometimes with some interviews, other things that we're doing. But go download the app, Manek. Rob, if you can put up the QR code up there. If you can download the app and get that QR code, go to Manek, download the app, go to Circles PBD Podcast, join the Circle, see the notes, and then we'll be able to interact throughout the month. We're excited about it. There's going to be a lot of unique surprises with Circle. Stay tuned. Big news for all of us. After a year and a half of trying to get permits of this city for the cigar lounge, after creating the sprinklers that they wanted in the ceiling for the cigar lounge, after getting the tobacco license, after getting the alcohol license, after getting the 2 bars set up, after getting all of it permitted into a club, comedy club, that's being launched here soon. And so for those of you that are wanting to be members of the Cigar Lounge, the boardroom, there's already 61 members, okay? It's only 80 of them that we're talking about at the phase 1 that we're going through. And there's going to be an interesting guest showing up here soon to the Cigar Lounge, possibly for the grand opening. I can't tell you who that is, but there's a lot of speculation who that could be. You can figure it out, but it's only for those who are members of the club. So if you want to submit an application to be considered, I look at every single application that comes into my hand. Rob, if we can put the website to go to for it. What is the website for the Cigar Lounge, by the way? Do you know what it's called?
BoardroomCigarLounge.com.
BoardroomCigarLounge.com. BoardroomCigarLounge.com. Rob, if you can put the link in chat as well, and the comment section and description. Go to it, submit your applications. And for those of you guys that smoke cigars that maybe you want to come ready for it, once you are a member, 100 of these are available for you to purchase. This is Valuetainment cigar accessories. Rob, if you can go to this so they can see it as well. In this, when you open it up, you have the ashtray, the Valuetainment ashtray. You have the Valuetainment lighter, and you have the Valuetainment cutter, okay? $74.95. Go to the website, vtmerch.com. And we are looking forward to seeing you come there with your lighter and with your, cutter. So again, vtmerch.com to get that. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.